Okay, because I don't know how much longer we will have service.
Okay.
In the not. Oh, in the not. Wait, I've got a mute. Hang on just a second. Let me turn on the mute so I'm not on the recording.
Too late. All right. We're going to start with Durro tonight because we may lose him halfway through the session. So we're going to start with you, buddy.
Roger, roger.
So Astra leads you into the catacomb and deep into this cavern. You're wise enough to understand that you're probably a few hundred meters below the surface. And the moment you cross into the crystal cavern, your awareness of beyond the cavern diminishes to zero.
This is quite a nifty hiding place you found yourself.
The Force led me, your master.
Indeed. What kind of crystals are they? Are they kyber crystals or are they just force sensitive crystals?
They're Force sensitive crystals, but they have a feeling in the Force that you find interesting.
Interesting in what way?
You're not sure. At a cursory glance, it's almost like you feel like you're being watched.
Does it feel like the crystals on the dark side planet?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
You feel it, don't you, Master?
The odd sensation?
It took me a few days to figure it out. These crystals, not 100% sure if it's one organism, if it's a colony of organisms. Most certain they're alive.
Well, that is very curious indeed.
My camp is up here, she says, leading you deeper into the cavern. And she brings you up to a small little area, small little clearing, and looking around, the entire cavern is covered with these crystals. Walking through is almost difficult without, like, having to work around them. But here it's like almost like a 10 by 10 area free of crystals.
Did you clear this area yourself?
Now, I had spent almost an hour searching for a place I can strike camp, and I had passed this area, at least I believe, half a dozen times. It was just here. I guess, and over the time, I've convinced myself that I just hadn't seen it before, but no, that's not true. Uh, I know you love your tea, Master. Would you like me to make you some? Says, pulling things out of her backpack, which is already here with her sleeping roll.
You have tea? I find that surprising. I thought you preferred hot chocolate.
She looks at you strangely. Well, I mean, it's good. Exactly what I prefer. It's really sweet and outside from a tree. It's very relaxing.
Well, then it sounds like you and I will get along just fine.
Well, Padawan master, she says, brushing her hair aside and, you know, almost a slight little blush, you know. But you also notice something far more. It's her Padawan braid. It's still woven, just the way you remember it. Worn. She's tried to keep it up. You can also see test of time on it.
Do you still consider yourself my Padawan? After all, from your perspective, we've been apart longer than we'd known each other previously. You've spent more time away from me than with me.
We are all connected through the Force, Master. Are you so sure?
No, to be honest, I'm not sure. There's been a lot in this part of space that has surprised me.
She frowns a little bit. When I was lost, making my way from the Crusade ship I escaped, I sat down on Olivon. You were with me there. Here. She touches her heart. Here. She touches her forehead. To your elaborate disguises. Escape. Didn't know Olivon was hunting me. That accused me of some horrible murder. That's where I stole my fighter and motions to her outfit. Before that, I was in my Jedi. Guess I should change. Sorry, Master. Then went home. Bachlid. She frowns deep. Turned my house, home, family's home. Where tourists attract. Saw this saw this fat kid sitting on my mother's throne while people took pictures. And I felt sad, but I had terms. The fact that the galaxy had moved on. When I found out that Bachlid was telling not me, such a horrible lie about me. Would never hurt Ava, Master. I, I wouldn't kill Nova. Assassin.
Wait, Ava said you killed Nova?
Not to me. It was there was an interview she was doing, and they said that I had killed her, and she was sitting right there. She could have said no. Astra would never hurt somebody. Didn't. She let everybody believe that I murdered Nova.
I know the Astra that I'm traveling with did travel to Bachlid, and there was some kind of altercation there between herself and Ava, and Nova was present, but I was unaware of any death.
clone murdered Nova?
Not as far as I know.
You need to be careful. By the way, give me a repair check.
All right, just a moment. My computer is frozen. I actually pulled out the old laptop because I didn't want to keep losing Wi-Fi like my desktop does, and it's freezing up on me. All right, you said repair check.
Yep.
$25.
Okay. So she's making hot water, but the device that she's using is a jerry-rigged power converter. That's nothing special. You've seen this done 1,000 times. It's the power converter that she's using is one you've seen 1,000 times back on Venators. It's the power converter for the nav computer of a headhunter.
Curious. We'll circle back to that though. I mean, last he was saying they were talking about being careful around the clone, right? I think that was the
Yeah.
last thing you said.
I told you she was dangerous.
Well,
Yes.
now you see, the thing is, Ava and Nova came to visit us on Dubrillion right before we left for this part of space, and that was after the clone had been to Barclay.
Well,
So no, the clone did not kill Nova, and I'm beginning to wonder why Ava would make such a claim.
I don't know. I just know that it really sucks to be hunted. I mean, honestly, it really does.
Well, I would know a thing or two about that.
So, a long story short, no, we haven't been separated. Your guidance, your wisdom has always been there with me. When I felt alone on Olivon. Well, when I felt cornered and trapped on Olivon, it was your cleverness and disguises that helped me escape. When I felt alone on Baklid, taught me that the Force is always there with me. It was the courage that you have instilled in me through your own experiences, your own actions. I've always been there.
Well, I am pleased that you took those lessons to heart.
I apologize. I had a distraction. Can you say again?
He said, well, I am pleased that you have taken those lessons to heart.
I have a choice. Either I grow. Master, sorry. It's been months and I've been meaning to tell you that. When you found me, I wasn't very mature. I see that. I was selfish. Had way too many problems with my attachments. I angered quickly, scared. Let these things dominate me. You asked about my friends. I don't know what happened to them. I can only think that the crusade stripped them away from me. Something. That wasn't a bad thing. Deal with the personality disorder I had. Still there. Still broken. Looks down. I was scared. Scented my mother. Used to let hope empower me. I was too caught up in my own attachments that I wanted to be angry. Didn't always show it. Was. See you. I deal with them. I won those personalities. Just to let those emotional imbalances dominate.
So, in helping yourself, in improving yourself psychologically, emotionally, you drove out the other personalities?
Wouldn't necessarily say drive them out. Shantae once in a while tempts my anger. But like my mother, Heike, felt abandoned. It took me a long time to understand why and give her. I mean, truly, honestly, give her. It wasn't easy. Did it? I to Raza. I know I won't ever see her again. So do what she did. It's really the important part. That voice just power over me.
Durro just looks thoughtful. So, tell me a little bit more of your experiences in the chaos.
She kind of giggles a little bit and blushes. I really don't have much experience in chaos. I followed the force and led me here. There was a couple of short stops on Trading World where I needed to pick up supplies. Well, the headhunter doesn't have great, how should I say this? Um, refuse management.
I understand what you mean.
It was a surprise the first time there was a leak. But I followed the force. Led me to where I needed to go. I ran across Sisters of the Angel, or something like that. Nurses, I think. I'm not sure. They're not very good people, Master. On the surface, they seem to want to help everybody, but don't feel right in the force.
What is wrong with them?
I sense a plot, sinister. I sense a sinisterness about their motivations, that they are intentionally trying to do stuff, not help people. And looks down. I know I sound like a hypocrite because they were the first people I ran into in the chaos and helped me. And were generous to didn't tell them who I was, what I was. It was as if Force warned me not to reveal. You'll be surprised. She looks off to the side and tries to hide her embarrassment. You would be surprised. No. No, you wouldn't. But I was. When my mind was calm and I spent time and I listened, you can almost feel the force around you, encouraging you to do or not do.
Durro smiles and says, "Yes, that kind of guidance is what every Jedi should be listening to."
It's subtle, I won't lie. It's like a soft breeze in the middle of a hurricane. Almost you miss it.
Yes, and many Jedi do, but it is in those moments where we catch that whisper that we are truly inspired, enlightened, you might say, to flow with the river, so to speak, to go the way that we are meant to go, the way that brings the most harmony.
He nods. Uh, they were talking about Edgelord and how a group of them were healers and helped them. And spoke very highly of these Edgelords. I was almost compelled to offer my services as healer and sensed their motives were surface.
And what did you find?
Didn't pursue it. I had a mission. The Force showed me where I had to go, and this was but a short stop. I bid them good day and left.
Hmm. Well, Edgelords is what Professor Kenobi, the owner of the ship I am on, referred to us as when we first arrived at this part of space. The people here refer to people like us from the main part of the galaxy. They refer to us as edgelings. And the professor, in his eccentric manner, changed it to edgelords, and I thought it was hilarious, and I have been referring to our group as such ever since. Anytime anyone refers to us as edgelings, I correct them. No, it's edgelords. He grins.
She laughs. You have always been witty beyond your years, master. She'll pour you some tea. It's hot.
I'm surprised they didn't recognize you. The Astra I'm traveling with, the clone as you call her, was one of the healers that they spoke of. She and Tassara revealed that they knew how to use the Force to heal.
You, master, are not paying attention. She kind of crawls over to her backpack and rifles through it. The droid's watching her, making little beeping sounds, and she grabs up a piece of cloth and a furry thing and throws it on her face, and then whips it around, covering part of her face, and she has this black bushy hair and veil over herself. Allow me to introduce you, master, to Lady Agatha. You taught me how to disguise, master.
You are right, I did, and I had forgotten already that you mentioned that you do so. Quite clever.
Thank you.
I wonder if Agatha is from some long-forgotten world in the Outer Rim.
Agatha is an explorer, she says, mocking her own voice, who is on a personal quest to see every world that she can before she passes into the great sea of tranquility, our afterlife, of course.
I was making a reference to the disguise I used on Raxus Prime.
Frowns. That was a pretty clever disguise, too.
It's all right. I know that experience was not great for either of us.
They, they tried to hunt me down. Twice. It was hard. They have you know about the men,
Which men?
the clone men,
Yes, what do they call them? The Shadows?
something like that. They have more advanced version, more dangerous version. S- And you can visibly see the pain as she's trying to push back the memory.
It's all right. Sometimes it's helpful to get it off your chest. If you bottle it up, eventually it will all explode outward. And probably at the most inopportune time.
She laughs. Of course, the sound lesson. You, they're Zabrak, but not pure Zabraks. Female. The one I went up against was ruthless. I was on Kareth. was just supposed to be a short, stupid stop, and I was going to be on my way. I was on my way to Sereno. And I decided I wanted to make sure I had packed enough disguises because if Olivon was hunting me, then surely Serena would be hunting me as well. Oh my goodness. Can somebody please pronounce the name? I just had it dumb. For the world. Anybody hear me?
They can put it in the chat. You can keep going with Astra's story.
Yeah. Hold on. So I wanted to go shopping for disguises. What I was doing, I was mindlessly going through the market. Wasn't thinking. I wasn't paying attention. That's when I saw her. Sir. She starts fidgeting with her hands. Have no idea. Reeves. Horrifying. These clones are. She moved through the crowd like a specter. At first, I didn't even notice, and my senses tried to keep them up. Just for this occasion, she had slipped through them like like a gnat slipping through a spider's web. She was on me before I even realized the attack was coming, and she was so quick. Oh my god, she was quick and ruthless. She murdered the storekeep I was talking to. And it wasn't even like he was in the way of her attack on me. It was just like a second thought, and she cut through him. So I ran, and she gave chase, and everything I did, she had a counter for. And Master, you need to understand this. These particular hunters are force sensitive. They are incredibly dangerous. And I was able to get far enough ahead of her that I could elude her for just a little bit, but I could feel her sensing through the force. And it's when I was able to finally lure her into a factory where they were smelting, and we fought a little bit. And I'm not a great fighter, and I don't have my lightsaber. So I did everything possible to not dead. She was trying to kill me, not capture me. I pulled a basin of molten metal, poured it over her where she stood on the walkway. The most horrifying thing about this master was that she didn't scream, whimper. She just reached out with her burning hand failed attempt for one last strike.
A living weapon, designed solely to kill Jedi.
Yes. And if it wasn't for your lessons, I would have been dead with them.
What did the Zabrak look like?
She was female, dark skinned, black hair, ruthless eyes.
Natural Zabrak markings, or were there tattoos or enhancements of any kind?
There were enhancements, surely. She was as far as the force would carry me in a jump. Easily match it. Then some. I hit her with a pipe as hard as I could in the face, and it barely moved her.
Well, yes, the Crusades hunters are physically enhanced. I meant markings. Zabraks have natural markings that they sometimes enhance by tracing them with tattoos. I'm
I
asking if her markings were all natural or if they were enhanced with tattoos or other pigments.
Give me one moment, man. Hold on, I got. Boop. He had marking. Um, I what they were of.
Are we continuing, or did she have more to say?
No, she answered your question.
Okay, it sounded like you were going to continue. I thought maybe you were reading the text chat.
Oh, I was.
Okay, so she had markings.
Yes.
And this one didn't seem like it had droid enhancements like the older models.
No, she definitely wove the force around her.
Because the Shadow Stalkers I have faced have been essentially droid skeletons with some kind of clone body around them. You're saying this was more than that, something purely biological.
Sorry, Master. Melted under the flame. There wasn't anything left. Metal.
Fair enough. I was just trying to get a complete picture, that's all. You know me, always the investigator.
Of course, Matt.
So you're telling me in your time in the chaos you have not had the pleasure of running into the Sith?
Sith, Matt? Oh. No. No, I have not had the pleasure of running into the Sith. I was going to question your just question. How could things get crazy?
I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know how things have gone so horribly wrong. But the Sith Queen and her minions are in this part of space, and seem to be growing in strength. They're the ones that have Workinals locked down. They're the ones taking the Force sensitives, and I believe looking for something or someone specific.
You. She's looking for you, Master.
I don't think so.
I've seen it in a vision. You are standing before her.
Curious.
And you won't give her what she wants. Kills you. That's just one of the many possible visions that will unfold here. Of course, the clone will kill you.
So your seer abilities aren't giving you any more clarity, only multiple possible conclusions to this tale.
Asa, didn't you tell me that that the future was always in motion?
Yes, I did. And I do still believe that. The Force is always in motion, that we make our own destiny. The Force may have a will, a preferred path along which to flow, but as beings with free will, we are certainly free to change our destiny for good or for ill. In my experience, when beings try to buck the will of the Force, it is usually to their detriment. But they can still choose to defy it.
Well, Master, he says with a smile, almost savoring the moment. As each voice diminished in my mind, my seer ability became better. That's the trick, Master, she says, giggling. I can see the future. I can even see the big stops. You coming here was a big stop. I call them big stops because all possible futures weave to here and then branch out again. You would arrive here. Then there are the little strands that, choose to go down. Before, I would see these individual strands and be like, oh my God, I'm so scared of this, or oh my God, I'm so scared of that. So childish looking back on it now, but truth of the matter is, as each voice diminished, I started to see more strands, more possible futures. To start to choose. That's how I got She smiles and blushes again. Twilight sparkles over there. See, on Sereno, there was a bounty hunt. All possible foes we would have an encounter. I learned my lesson this time because I wasn't going to deal with another assassin from the Crusade. So, searched the different strands while in hyperspace. I discovered that former owner of Twilight Sparkles here was trying to capture me and Coruscant execution. Yes, they actually execute people wanted like me. And so I chose a path that would lead to my survival. Death. She holds up her hands in almost an innocent motion. I didn't kill him, Master. Circumstances of the situation we killed him, despite my best effort to warn him ahead of time. That was the path I chose, because that was the path that didn't have me taken Coruscant executed. That's what my seer abilities can do.
Very interesting. And it opens a fascinating philosophical discussion that I am going to refrain from indulging in right now.
He smiles. I thought you would.
So, what do your abilities tell you about any meetings with the Sith? You told me that one possibility is standing before the Sith Queen and refusing to give her what she wants. Have you seen other possibilities?
Yes. I've seen you abandoned here. I've seen you die here several times. Um, there's even one where you arrive here, but they're not here. But that one, choices for that were made to go. I believe Clone responsible for
Interesting.
that. You can give the queen what she wants. You'll leave.
But what repercussions does that have for the rest of the galaxy?
She smiled. There is a fire coming to the galaxy map. No different than forest fires of Sereno. It's devastating, destructive. It's
It's a natural part of the circle of life.
yes,
The forest cannot thrive unless the dead brush and debris is burned away from it on occasion. Just as night is or follows day and death follows life, so destruction must necessarily follow creation.
she is the fire.
I see. So to try and stop her would be a perversion of what nature intends.
Yeah, that is correct. But it's her being here perverted that. There's already been a change. Remember, I told you. There was a thread where she wasn't here at all. Go back before that thread was woven, looking forward. She doesn't come here at all. She doesn't cross paths with you. Not until much later.
Well, you said that path is impossible now, obviously. There's little point in dwelling on it. She's here now, and that is what we must deal with. And you're positive that the Queen is here, that it is not one of her apprentices or other agents.
No, it's the Queen. I know, I saw you standing before her.
Could I have been taken there by another?
She frowns. Quinn is there.
Quinn is where, with the Queen?
He escorts you.
I see. Which leads me to the reason for my probing questions. Quinn is here. I don't know about the Queen, but I'm fairly certain that Quinn is either on or in orbit around Workinals.
He is here. I know this for a fact. I've seen him. I watched him murder former rulers of this world. There's a heaviness to her work.
Yes, he has contacted the Astra I am traveling with a couple of times already. It's been a major hardship for her. She has discovered through her own meditations that Quinn is after her on behalf of the Sith Queen. There is something about her seer abilities that the Queen thinks she can use. That is why Quinn hunts her. Well, the primary reason. The other reason being that he is still lustful for her, but that is a, another topic for another time.
Queen wants access to the pool of knowledge. Says, look,
Yes, that much I had determined for myself. What do you know of the pool of knowledge?
been there anytime.
Physically or while meditating?
There is no physical. There is only
I was told about a location in between black holes near the planet Kessel.
it's more than just in between black holes and the ball.
Yes, the Maw. You're saying that there is no physical location.
No, there's no going. It's protected, powerful. Mind walk. Sneak past it. See in the pool of knowledge. Fury which you desire. Change. I thought, go ahead.
No, go on.
Thought maybe you go back and fateful night destroyed my ever want.
Well, you are not wrong about that. To try to change what has been, or even what will be, to attempt to exert your own will and control over the Force is a perversion. It is the very nature of what the Sith themselves try to achieve. Actually, what the pool is capable of is very much the Sith's end goal, and has been for the majority of their history. It's why the Queen wants, well, you so badly. Access to the pool, like you said, access to the ultimate form of control over the Force itself, the way it flows and ebbs.
Queen is to die before fire truly in the galaxy. She knows that.
And she wishes the pool to change her fate.
Stop at nothing. Destroy. Chase.
So I was right. The longer we delay a confrontation, the more people will die in her quest to obtain what she wants.
Nods. But you can give her the clone. The clone doesn't have the abilities I have. She hasn't mastered her. I don't even know if she's even force sensitive.
Oh, she is most definitely Force sensitive.
Has she mastered? Does she even possess her seer ability? I do.
She is you in every way. She does possess the abilities of a seer, but from what I understand, she has become afraid of them. She understands that something she did messed up, created some of the problems that we have felt the ripples of already.
I
And it frightens her, and she doesn't want to use it again.
did. Not her. I am Astra. She is but a clone. Cheap copy. I made those on Olivon.
And be that as it may, she is such a perfect copy that she believes that she is the original. She believes she made those mistakes. And again, at the risk of starting a fascinating philosophical discussion, she came to a different conclusion about her mistakes than you did. And she runs from and hides from her abilities. No, she's made no attempt to learn more about them or to master them. Instead, she is content to pretend they don't exist.
Well, then that's good. No, it's not. No matter how logical the solution sounds, it's still a life form. Can't give her relentless breaking her, turning her into Quinn. Would never forgive myself. But Master, she will chase you. Queen will pursue you every turn. You will find no safe harbor that she can't reach. She will destroy world after world after world until she has what she wants.
Then I say we give her what she wants.
It's to be.
As in you, the one in front of me, not the clone.
Shakes her head. Can't just give somebody a cup. It's not right. It deserves to live, just like I. Gotta be my choice.
And are you making that choice?
I don't want to.
And that selfless decision is the mark of a Jedi Knight.
It just
I
not.
know I wasn't physically there for the remainder of your training, but I can sense it, that this would be your great trial, to face the Sith Queen, to understand exactly what it is that she wants from you, and to do the right and selfless thing in the face of that.
It's not. You hear that her droid kind of beeping. Reaches over and touches it.
Out of character, what kind of droid is it? An astromech?
It's not an astromech. It's an unusual kind of hybrid between a spider droid and it's got uh an
Oh, that droid. You described it last session. I
yeah,
forgot about it.
but it's got a head on a pivot on a stalk like.
Right, I was just wondering if her headhunter had an astromech and that was the droid she was messing with. But no, I forgot about her little spider companion.
When you looked at it, you didn't see an astromech underneath the tarp. It was flat back there.
All right, then.
I'm hoping that you will. She smiles. You will find a way out of this that decision doesn't have.
Oh, I intend to go with you. I'm not sending you off on your own. We will both surrender ourselves to the Sith and be taken before the Sith Queen. I will follow the will and guidance of the Force and hope that it leads to a solution where one or both of us do not have to sacrifice ourselves. But should that be the only solution, it would be the Jedi thing to do, to selflessly give everything we can of ourselves for the protection and safety of others.
She nods. Well then, guess now is the time to have. She giggles. A gift, maybe. And she goes back to her bag and rifles through it and pulls out a holocron.
Where did you get this?
Back home, he says with a playful smile.
He'll raise an eyebrow at her. Home on Bucklet or home on Sereno?
Oman Baklit. She may have turned my home into a tourist attraction. My ancestors' holocron cries out to me. I was able to look past their security and guards to sleep and take back what is mine. This holocron was made by Lord Delphinium himself.
Yes, I saw it when Ava showed me the tomb and the sarcophagus.
It's what taught me everything I know about using my gift. Still a lot more left to teach. A lot more to learn. Might be interested in this, and she'll sit down and calm herself and feel this wave. Whatever emotions were bothering her just pushes away. And holocron rise from her hands and lock it. You can feel her probing the different aspects of the holocron. Finds what she's looking for. A brilliant map, galaxy, entire.
Even parts of it that are unmapped on most maps.
Yes. Even out here.
Where did this map come from?
Master Delphinium. He created it, seeing worlds through the Force. Come for a decade.
Well, this is a very valuable asset. And not just for the map inside, and he would reach out with the Force, assuming he's not holding it already. Say just the history that this holocron exudes, the things that has been there to witness, the things that have happened around it.
It talks about the war. The
The
war.
new Sith Wars.
Say again.
The new Sith Wars.
Yeah. How he searched the strands, Force, guided Lord Hoth to victory instead of destruction.
Well, I'll be honest, if I'm able to access it, I would love to study the history and the information in this holocron, but that can wait.
She'll close it and bring it back to her hand. We have an endless amount of time, Master.
He will raise an eyebrow at her. An endless amount of time.
Of course. I will be joining you. After all, Padawan, and we are finally reunited.
Well, yes, but first we have to face the Sith Queen and your final test. And let's not delude ourselves, there is a very real chance that one or both of us may not survive.
She smiles. I believe we will. Not because I
Oh,
saw it. Not because I saw it in the Force, but because I know you. Find a way.
I truly appreciate the faith that you have in me, and I only hope that I can live up to it.
So, what's this clone like? I mean, surely you must have realized right away it wasn't me. Granted, she's, as you say, perfect. Still, it's you. Wouldn't be fooled by a cheap copy of.
I always suspected that there was something off when you were rescued from the Crusade. Well, you came back on your own, and the death you spoke of on Olivon that you were blamed for, the clone killed Master Moore, the Grand Master of the Olivon Order. He was visiting Raxus Prime on his way through to try to start peace negotiations with the Coruscant Order. The whatever the Crusade did kicked in, and she killed Master Moore. That was the crime she was imprisoned for and hunted for later. I managed to rescue, well, she rescued herself by allowing Ashanti to take over. I followed her off of Raxus and met up with her on Dubrillion, and that was when we met the professor, and he convinced us to join him. He convinced us to join him on his crusade out here to the chaos.
So, wait, get this straight. I, captured by the Crusade, cloned, and walks. She just walks out, and she even tell you she was captured?
Yes, she did, and she couldn't remember everything. And as I said, I suspected something was wrong, but I didn't know what. I tried to meditate on it, tried to Farsi, but the answers were not forthcoming. I always knew in the back of my mind something was off, but in my defense, in my experience, in the universe where I come from, cloning takes a decade. With growth acceleration, it takes 10 years to grow a fully mature clone. I wouldn't have even conceived of the idea or entertained the idea that a clone could be created in one night.
Mere hours, master. I know. I've seen their facility. It's, it's on a rogue planet. Somewhere wild space. It's a shop of horrors. They put living beings together like we would assemble a droid. It's efficient to the most horrifying degree. They're all interlinked. Now, I don't know much more than that. I just know that I didn't just walk out. I fought for every inch till I could escape. It was it was probably one of my most challenging parts of my life. They threw everything at me, and either was going to be clever or die, and had Ashante with me. There are times when I let her anger take over, pulled back before she crossed us over in the dark side. Couldn't let that happen. Wouldn't let that happen. And now I'm wanted by the galaxy. Crime my clone did. Well, he laughs. So always wanted to have a threesome with two sisters. The galaxy has a sick sense of humor, master.
No kidding. I'm sure the galaxy's best lawyers would have a field day with this case. I didn't commit the crime, my clone did. I could imagine the holodramas written.
Dies. So, who is this professor you've mentioned several times now?
Would you believe it? Soul's uncle.
No. I mean, Souls talks about it often. Wealthy. God, they're. You know how expensive it is to go to school at Sereno? Let alone to be Lord Sereno's personal protege.
I could imagine.
They have an entire wing called the Nobi.
Yes, well, Soul's uncle, or is it great uncle, I'm not sure, was a professor at Coruscant University. He's spent the last few years traveling about, doing archaeological work, and has uncovered a, well, it would be a very long story to try to relay, but suffice to say, he has made it his life's quest to fight the coming darkness, you could say.
Well, we were pursuing the swarm.
Yes, it is connected to that, and I believed that the Force led us to him on Debrillion. Almost literally, since his ship crashed into the Jupiter 1.
Really?
Yes, he claims it was our fault for parking in the wrong spot, but the professor is an odd bird.
And how is Ryan?
Well, I haven't seen him since Debrillium. It's been well over a year now. Almost two.
My few run-ins on Baklit didn't.
Well, I don't know what he got off to. Last I knew, he was returning to Baklid with Mishka,
Who?
another half-Bothan girl that we rescued. She
Oh,
had been she had been beaten pretty badly. I helped her recover an heirloom necklace on Olivon.
that was the girl. Oh, that was the girl that was. She was still with you.
Yes, I believe so. The timeline is a little fuzzy.
I see. Wow.
Yeah,
And
she and Ryan hit it off really well, and she stayed with him, and they returned to Baklid while we disappeared into the unknown regions.
well, that's good. Ryan deserves to have somebody, you know, helping him with his problems. How's Tassara? You know what? When can we return to the group? Yes, need to meet my clone. Wow, that's gonna be.
Very interesting conversation, and one I feel should wait until after we've faced the Sith Queen.
Master, with all due respect, if that kind of weight is upon us, I prefer to see Astra before. Or I'm sorry, I'd prefer to see Tassara before. If for nothing else, then say goodbye.
I make no promises, but I will see what I can do. As for returning to the group, there are dangers inherent in that, well, I don't want to get too into detail with, because the less you know, the less you can reveal if you are tortured and questioned. But there are reasons I don't want the Sith anywhere near the ship or the group that I am with, and so I would prefer to stay away from them until we have dealt with the Sith Queen.
Don't expect them to leave this area soon.
Well, that's fine. They don't have to leave the area so long as we get the supplies and the overhaul we need. We will leave the area. And if the Queen can be dissuaded by whatever means from pursuing us, well, then all the better. And once that is accomplished, then we can return to the group. Because again, there are reasons that the Sith cannot be allowed to be alerted to where we are or what we have.
It looks sad. Nods. Still looks sad. I would still like to see Tassara again.
I understand. And as I said, I will do what I can, but I make no promises. Hmm.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Seem like you're Not telling me something.
Because I'm not telling you something, he says with a slightly sly smile. I've already told you that. As I said, there are things I would like to tell you, but knowing what we are about to face, I want there to be as few distractions as possible. Catching you up is going to take a while, and there will be a lot to process.
We have to go now.
I think so. As you said, the Sith are not going to stop looking, and they will continue to wreak havoc and destruction where they go in their pursuit of us. The sooner we go, the sooner this problem can be put behind us. To be honest, it was a solution I had thought necessary as soon as I knew that Quinn was in this system looking for us, looking for Astra.
Clone.
The clone, you, I don't pretend to know who he sensed, but he was looking for Astra, and the moment I realized that Quinn was here and looking for Astra, I already knew that there had to be a confrontation. Might as well be now, there's no point in putting it off.
Don't have a lightsaber, Master. I won't be able to help you.
Nor do I. But we'll just keep that between us. I feel the Force is a far more powerful ally than a silly old lightsaber.
Can't tell you how many times I wish I had a lightsaber, if for nothing less than to light my way or generate. That was before I.
Yes, a clever bit of engineering. I assume you figured out how to use the Force to navigate the chaos.
And the rest of the galaxy.
And well, impressive. I've only ever used a navicomputer for navigation in, as these people call it, lesser space.
One thing you must be willing to accept when you're navigating the Force is sometimes you don't always end up where you want to be. You're always going to be your need.
To be honest, that's how I'd prefer to travel.
You know, first time it happened, exactly what I pictured you today.
Oh, you do know me well.
Well, I am
Do you
your
have every...
Padawan.
Yes, you are. Do you have everything that you want to take with you?
Not even going to try to have me be Tisara.
I said I would make an effort. The easiest way would be to try to contact her through the Force, which I can't do from these caverns. And he'll take out his comlink and look at the signals. Can he send a message from here?
No.
And as I suspected, whatever is interfering with the Force is interfering with the communicators as well. I can't get a signal through to the ship.
How they survive, I imagine.
No, I'm sure. Which means that we will have to wait until we are back on the surface before I can contact Tassara. And depending on the Sith presence and what we find when we go up there, we'll determine if we are able to see her or not. Which is why I said I will do my best, but I make no promises.
She nods. Then she starts to pack everything up. Then give me a second. Twilight, come here and help me. Droid kind of crawls over there, starts assisting her in packing up.
Interesting name for the droid.
Smiles.
Something right out of a little girl's storybook.
I'm still your Astra.
Yes, that is true.
And she gets everything packed up and put away in her backpack.
Durro will assist her as much as she lets him.
Mm-hmm. By the way, the tea was okay. It wasn't great. You've had better, but it was okay considering the situation.
Yeah, good but not great. That's what I figured. You're making me want tea out of character, though.
Within about 15 minutes, she has her whole camp packed up and backpack on her back, and her droid takes its place just on top of it.
So, are we ready then?
Yes, master.
Well, then may the Force be with us. And he will start to head back the way they came.
Master,
Yes.
let me die.
Now that is a loaded question, isn't it?
But
I
you,
will follow the will of the Force. If that is to let you die, then yes, I will. If that is to sacrifice myself so that you may live, then I will. But I will follow the path that the Force has set out for us, wherever that leads.
I had a silly hint of jealousy.
Oh?
It's really stupid. It was a passing thought that would sacrifice me with Sith Queen. You already have an Astra.
Yes, that was a very silly thought.
He smiles and
I don't claim to know which of you is the real Astra. Quite frankly, based on information I have obtained but didn't know what to do with, the thought has crossed my mind that both of you are clones. The original may be dead, and both of you are clones. And if that is the case, I can't claim to choose. I can't claim to choose between the two of you. I have traveled with the Astra I am with, spent more time with her than I have with you, but you are just as much Astra as she is. And as you said about her, you are a life form and deserve to live. I will do what I can to preserve both of your lives, even at the expense of my own. But even more than that, I will follow the will of the Force. Again, wherever that leads.
and she grabs you a little bit more forcefully than you're used to from Astra, and she spins you around. Then I ask you to make a promise right here, right now, to me. Make a promise. You are more important to the galaxy as a whole than I am. Either of us.
I'm not sure how to respond to that. I don't believe anyone is more or less important than another. I guess I can only promise what I already have, to follow the will of the Force, to
And
do what I believe in my heart is right.
I'm telling you, can't. You cannot perish on this. That's why I came.
Well, I certainly don't want to perish on this world. But I will take that under advisement.
Nods. There are many, many promises. Sorry, confusing myself. There are many, many threads. There are those threads where you perish. Clone kills you. Responsible for your death. I'm not sure. Queen will kill you. Refuse to give us up. Those threads, the dark. galaxy.
Now, like I said, I will certainly keep that in mind. I do have a respect for your gift and how you have been able to learn it and hone it. So I will take what you say seriously, but my only promise, my only true promise, is to follow the will of the Force. And if that means saving myself and letting you die, then that is what I will follow.
I want to say goodbye. You may choose to follow the will of the Force, but I don't have to.
What do you mean?
She turns, starts walking away, but you sense a nervousness from you. It's something I learned from Lord Definium. Sorry, something I've learned from Lord Definium's holocron. Seers are a product of Force. We're not just Force sensitive. That's a byproduct of what we are. Everyone else follow the Force. You can choose to pervert it, do its will. Seers, long time, were created to be guardians, will, to guide, more importantly, protect current against powerful changes.
Sounds like the Jedi themselves, but on a whole nother level.
There used to be a sect of Force users devoted seers. They were massacred down to all but a few. Their bloodline runs through my family. Survivors. It's where gifts come from.
And did Lord Delphinium's holocron tell you about this group?
He studied it extensively. They're the ones who created full knowledge, font of power.
And what is this group called?
Unfortunately, didn't aim for them to find in the hologram. I'm trying still trying to fully understand everything. I have a lot more to learn. Down, apparently, time.
You've gone from all the time in the world because you're rejoining the group to now you're going to die tonight. It is an interesting juxtaposition.
I don't have to meditate to see the threads of Force.
I see. And facing the Sith Queen now means your death.
I can't.
Is there no thread where we both manage to survive?
Go now. But you're eager. This is one of the threads. So, good for the galaxy as a whole.
Astra, I don't have your gift. I can't see the threads like you do.
She turns around to face you, and you can see her eyes glowing, almost a bluish amber, like the tips of two blue lightsabers. I can see them right here around us. Red, woven tapestry of the Force, the living Force, the cosmic Force. Beyond that, she reaches out and softly see the village in the trees. See sitting before a group of children. It's where you have died. She kind of takes a step back, closes her eyes, and you can see her shudder a little bit. Her eyes open up and normal. Looks at you, tears in them. Mean more to the galaxy.
Be that as it may, as I said, I don't have your gift. I believe, tactically, intellectually, that the confrontation must happen sooner rather than later, in order to forestall any further destruction and chaos. But if there is a better time, a force-appointed time for this confrontation to take place, then I can exercise patience. Don't just walk blindly and calmly to your death because I am eager for a confrontation now.
She
Don't put
smiles.
that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but she smiles, and you see it almost like a sad resignation.
Oh, he was just going to finish with, don't put that weight on my shoulders.
Don't put any. Don't walk blindly to anything. And you see, I see all possibilities. I know how to choose these threads.
Then do me a favor and choose one where we both live.
Breath.
And don't tell me that such a thread doesn't exist, because I don't want to hear it.
Closes her eyes. See her searching. There is no roll sense motive.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
12.
You know her well enough, so I'm giving you a synergy bonus. Okay.
Right.
She says that, but your previous statement of "Don't tell me there isn't one," for her to say this, she's convinced in what she's saying. Believe. Not that you can sense it. Her mechanically, her bluff was higher than your check, even with the synergy bonus. That's not what I'm saying. Mechanically, you did not detect her lie, and Durro in game does not detect her lie. It's just Durro doesn't believe her because of his force.
Right. I understand the difference. Well, if she is still going ahead with this, even though, he told her that she didn't have to, then he will as well.
We can postpone. There will be no more death today. Today she is content to wait. Today she is content to talk. To allow you to know what she wants. Why?
Don't I already know what she wants and why?
She smiles. He doesn't know.
Ah, I see.
You asked for a path. This is a path that prevents us from dying today. I'll admit I'm slightly, she sighs, biased to not dying today, she says with a smile. Sad, but again, a resolution of fate. But still,
Well, if that's the best I can ask for, then I'll take it.
Master, you know what a crepe is?
Out of character, you said a crepe?
Yep, a crepe.
That's some kind of dessert pastry, isn't it?
Ha! Oh, Master, it's far more than just a dessert pastry. It's, in some places, it's breakfast. And hungry, I happen to know how to make crepes. They're inexpensive, very resource light. When you're having to travel from one world to another without attracting a whole lot of attention, seem to be just what the doctor ordered, she says with a playful smile. Then she grabs you by the arm. I can't wait to get back to the Jupiter.
Yes, well, that would be a feat, since the Jupiter 1 is back on Baklid.
It's not here?
I told you we've been traveling with Professor Kenobi, who has his own vessel.
Oh. Huh. I'm sorry. Just, I don't know why I assumed you still have the Jupiter 1 with you.
I still have my shuttle with me.
She thinks. We get that shuttle. Hold on, the GM's trying to remember where the shuttle came from.
Shah Kun's flagship.
Ah, yeah. Wait. You still have Shakun's shuttle?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
Remember, we had it modified on Raxus Prime, and it's actually been further modified. It's small enough, and the professor's ship is large enough that the shuttle can ride inside. For a while, we had to remove the stabilizer fin in order to make it fit, but The professor's maintenance droid was able to reconfigure the internal mechanics of the dorsal fin so that everything is in one nice, neat package on top of the hull. No more removing parts in order to make the shuttle fit.
That's. I saw Shakun on Backlid.
And how is that cantankerous old Keldor?
Um, um, Carrying Ava around, I think. That and he travels with the Jupiter 1 often.
Shah Kun?
Yeah. She's been reduced to that of escort for Empress Forma, she says, waving her hands.
Well, that's not worrying at all.
Over breakfast, I'll tell you. But there's a good side to this. Your sister is alive and well, and well, then been heading up the resistance.
The resistance to
The darkness growing.
Durro looks like he does not want to ask what he is about to ask. And is Ava part of this darkness, or is she fighting it?
Government troop. Slaughter.
That's what I was afraid of. We rush off into the unknown regions to save the entire galaxy from the threat of the swarm, and it seems while we are gone, darkness takes hold in our backyard.
Well, if it means anything, it is all part of the fire coming.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I suppose she is perfectly positioned for her role.
From what I gather, last time I saw her, they were trying to secure their foothold on Lannis. There's actually a holovid of her rescuing a village that had come under attack by local raiders. Quite the spectacle. Will love her deeply.
I wonder how much of it is genuine and how much is propaganda. I've seen this before, but again, that's neither here nor there. I know Tassara still has full faith in Ava to be a good person and to do the right thing, but Tassara grew up on Lannis, a version of Lannis that was not exposed to the outer galaxy. She didn't witness the horrors of the Empire, which is the environment that Ava was raised in. She was the daughter of an imperial governor. What she is doing now is what she was raised to do, how she was taught. The fact that she was brought into this universe from another just tells me that it was all done for a reason. As you said, she's part of the fire and perfectly positioned for the role she is to play.
Interesting. Not a thread that this form be.
Well, that is why we are out here, after all.
Indeed. You have reached the edge of the cavern.
Well, let's see if I can contact the ship.
Okay, and on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and pause you guys, and I'm gonna pick up with let me pick up with Jess. Or I mean not yeah, let me pick up with Jess.
Are you sure? Do we have enough time for that?
If you want, we can do you on Saturday.
Yeah, because you said it was going to take 45 minutes, and I think we have less than that.
Okay. All right. I can do we can do Astra.
All right.
Astra, you're far seeing.
I thought we had been doing Astra.
Haha, very funny.
So, Astra, you're far seeing on the wind. Let me make sure I get this. The when, where, when, how, and under what circumstances will we be reunited with Durro on?
Yep.
So, as you're far seeing, you can see Durro walking through a hangar with you.
Okay.
And you can see them heading towards the gun.
Okay.
Day doesn't appear to be different than the day that you're aware of. The same ships are on the hangar. Or, I mean, the same ships are still on the flight deck that you saw today.
Is there any way for her to confirm that it's the same day?
No. But yourself, so you know you reunite with him.
It's herself, like it looks exactly like herself.
Exactly like yourself. I mean, it's blurry because it's a vision. Faces.
That doesn't make. Hold on, I'm gonna call on that because that makes no sense for Astra's vision, and I got a nat 20 on that roll.
Yeah. I'm not done with your nat 20.
All right.
But through the Force, you can sense no difference between you and you.
Okay.
But you're also on the Gungnir.
Where on the Gungnir?
You are currently on the Gungnir.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. You know it's not you.
Well, then this doesn't make much sense currently.
Daza said that there's of you. This is that charisma check.
But she dismissed the idea of there being a clone.
So, charisma check.
4.
Start to feel your heart pounding a little bit. Your breath is, change, calm, meditative state, or shorter breaths and more rapid. That means it's paid. It has a program. You can see them laughing. Durro is
Okay.
doing.
Watching the vision play out. Like, there's not much else to do right
You
now.
can control the vision.
Wait, what? How can she control the vision?
Here. Done it before.
Okay, out of character. I, the player, do not understand this, so I need you to explain to me what
Take,
you mean by she can control the vision.
take the threads, vision, and follow them.
Help
You gotta say it.
from the party. I want to pull the party.
Much quiet.
Okay,
Yep.
it's because I couldn't figure out how to unmute the thing.
You hit the unmute
In,
button.
bite me. In order to control and manipulate reality, you have to believe you have the ability. And as a seer, she has already said she has the ability to control and manipulate reality, but she has to do it by the pool. So in character, if that's the way she needs to do it, then the possibility is go to the pool. Secondarily, as a seer, you've already been given the insight that says that you can see all of the threads of possibility. Tug on the right one.
Yeah, that I kind of figured that. I'm trying to figure out what the right thread is.
I don't know, one where they don't all die would be a great way to start. But I mean, you've been given a hit that clone has a chip, correct?
Yeah.
So then, I don't know, remove the chip from the thread, remove the character from the thread, remove the Durro from the thread. I mean, all you gotta do is just move threads. It's like weaving anything on a loom. You just need to move it in the right direction and shit changes. I mean,
Well,
can you braid? If you can braid, you can figure this out.
when I'm saying about following the threads of the vision, seeing where they lead.
Oh, well, shit, if you're gonna go that easy, that's easy. I mean, be a fucking spider, go up the thread. It's Ariadne all over the place.
It starts with a
Oh.
question. Ask a question beyond what you see.
Where did ugh. I'm thinking. He hasn't gotten on the ship yet. In the vision he hasn't anyways. So
Try asking a question.
I'm thinking because I have no clue how many questions I'm actually going to get to ask.
Get at least one.
What happens next?
Wait, Amy's got a thing to add.
Oh.
All right. If you're still polling the party, one of the questions could be: is he coming to get on the Gungnir with her, with the girl that looks like you?
Yes, that's brilliant. Thank you.
The answer to
So-
that is pretty obviously yes, though. So before you throw that away, I mean, you can go for it, but
Would be when?
when and or like, does he know she's a clone? Does he, if she can see the chip, is she dangerous to them? Is she a threat to them? Like, any one of those would be legit IMHO, but stay Barry, I turn the mic back to her.
No, it's okay. That you covered it.
All right. So can she tell when they return to the ship?
You already asked that question. I already answered it.
Right.
So I won't count that against you. I mean, you could ask, is this clone a danger to you?
Wow, that sounds really familiar.
Well, I mean, I was repeating what you guys said.
Is the clone a threat to the party? Is the clone a threat to
We
it,
have a robot.
already connected to I would
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Astra, up to you.
Is the clone a threat to the party? Or, to anyone that I'm traveling with or myself?
You see yourself. You're frustrated and you're pacing in your room and you're shoving things in a pack, and you move to do something, and out of the vision from behind you, a hand depresses some type of like um syringe onto your neck, and you start to fall back into the arms of this clone. She gently lays you down.
What?
And
Why?
and you see yourself go to sleep.
Why did she do that?
And she takes your pack and your robes and leaves your room.
Um, what? What?
Obvious just killed you.
I'm not so sure about that one. Because you said a syringe was used on her. It could have been anything.
Could have. Look on your face was absolute shock and fear.
Well, yeah, because Astra's she. There's two reasons why the look on her face could be shock and fear. One is she believes she's gonna die and not gonna wake up, or she knows what's going on and recognizes it because she does have medical training. And we all know that that is a terrifying scenario for Astra. Yeah, good point.
Um.
I'm thinking, hold on.
No, I can smell the fire from here.
You are a butt. Can Astra track and see what the clone does after that?
No, the thread has already moved on. So, yeah, you know what? I'll let you do it.
Okay.
See her walking toward the throne room of the Sith Lord. See when they're hearing drops to her knee, and you, I've as long as you promise. I'll do. And your
What? Okay, so what's happening now?
Hey, Durro, who are you calling? Durro. Durro.
Sorry, I had to unlock my phone.
Who are you calling?
Well, he was going to try to contact Tassara.
Okay. Hey, Tassara, give me a voice check. Let's see how that plays out.
Okay, so
Echo, echo,
Well-
echo, echo.
hang on.
You got to silence Hodges. I think once we get the echo over, we'll be okay. No. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Da 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 da
Okay,
da.
can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
That is a little
Okay,
disconcerting.
so now is not a good time because we are literally like the man is supposed to be coming by at 10 to make the room so that we can sleep in it. Right now we're only just sitting in it. So I really shouldn't be in the middle of a scene while that's happening.
Fair enough. It is 5 till, and I have to work in the morning, so
All right. We'll call it here. So, any questions?
I'm sure Kitty has many, many, many questions.
I am sure too.
Yeah, so does Durro think that the Astra he is with is actually Astra?
Yes, of course he does.
Well, so much for player agency.
Go ahead and answer.
I'll say, oh no,
Damn, burn, girl.
what was that?
I said burn from Durro. Damn.
Yeah.
Is that for everybody?
Go ahead, Sarah. And is that 400 for everybody or just for Durro and Astra?
That's for everybody. So you gonna answer her question, Duro, or are you gonna sit there and soak up that at 400?
I'm
Right?
gonna sit here stroking my chin, wearing my monocle, and drinking my tea.
Oh, no. I want to know if he thinks that's the real Astra.
Of course he doesn't.
No, of course he does not think that's the real Astra. No, he is aware that he is dealing with a clone and that it most likely has Crusade programming. I will be honest, he meant everything he said about respecting her as a life form and respecting the advancements she made in her skills and as a person. Um, and he also, as we all know from a couple sessions ago, does believe a confrontation sooner rather than later is necessary. But now that this clone has presented itself, he had the hope that perhaps he could purposefully trigger her programming in the presence of the Sith Queen and basically kind of direct her destructive rampage towards the Sith.
Okay then.
He is not, lest anyone thinks that he views her as some kind of disposable weapon, he does not. If he can take her back to the Gungnir, and especially after facing the Sith, if she lives and he can take her back to the Gungnir and try to remove her programming and her chip, he will. But especially because with the advancements that she has made in her abilities and with Lord Delphinium's holocron, she can be a great asset, not just to the team in the short term, but in helping train the Astra we've been traveling with if she's open to it. That said, he knows she's a clone. He knows that she has Crusade programming. He is hoping that programming is a hatred for all Force wielders and not just Jedi, and that if he triggers it, say, connects with her telepathically when they're in the presence of the Sith Queen and just shares everything he knows in an instant about the chips and the programming and activates hers, maybe she'll be able to take out the Sith Queen, or at the very least severely injure her to the point where she's no longer pursuing them.
That's assuming that Durro can connect with this Astra.
She has demonstrated that they are very closely connected, even though they haven't been together in almost 2 years.
I can't imagine that he wouldn't. I mean, he knows the neural pathways, even with the variations in our Astra. Some of those neural pathways are still similar. I can't imagine that he couldn't connect with her through the Force. Doesn't make any sense.
Traveler has said that in the Force they do not feel any different, so that was the conclusion I had come to as well.
So, let me get this straight. She's not a disposable weapon, but you're going to use her as a disposable weapon, and she happens to survive, then you're going to look at trying to save her.
No, that is not what I said.
That's just fucked up, Master.
Yeah, but
My concern is that he may try to activate her programming, but that the programming may become active. She's on a ship full of fucking Force users. I mean, that chip could become active at any moment. She's the same time bomb that Phelan said that Astra was.
Yeah, but won't they be
Hodge.
not on the Gungnir when he's activating? I assumed he meant activating that when he was in front of the Sith Queen, not while on the Gungnir.
That's assuming he has the ability to control it.
Durro wants to activate her programming on the Gungnir, where other Astra and Tassara and Cheery and the other 8 girls are. That's exactly what he wants.
He may not have the choice. I mean, that programming may or may not become active at any given moment. Nobody may mention it, but all of a sudden the switch flips. We just don't know.
And who said that Durro's taking her back to the Gungnir? Who says he's not going to ask Tassara to come meet them somewhere?
Still,
Yep.
Fair enough.
Yep, fair enough.
I only said that they were moving through the hangar. I never said that they were coming back. That's the assumption that Astra had.
That's because that's what she went looking for specifically, and specifically that she saw the clone on the Gungnir stabbing her with a syringe.
Yeah. Which
And
tells
Astra's
me,
visions are never ever wrong, right?
yeah. Supposedly they aren't.
In character as Durro and out of character as myself, I think I'm beginning to understand how her abilities work. So I wouldn't say her visions are never wrong, but I posted that Doctor Strange gif for a reason. In that movie, when he saw 14,706,000 or something possible futures, they were all equally possible and equally valid, but he had to pull strings to ensure that the one future he wanted is the one that happened. I feel like Astra's abilities are very similar. She saw one possible future, which theoretically she could then make decisions to ensure that that one happens. But that is just one possible future. And as Clone Astra said, there are some points, like Durro's arrival on Workinals right now, where all possibilities reconverge briefly at that point before splitting off again.
100% concur.
Doctor Who would call them fixed points in time.
So I have a question for Durro and for the party as a whole. What do you guys think of Clone Astra?
What I will point out is, and I said it right at the beginning, Durro meant everything he said to her. He respects her development as a person and her advancements as a Jedi. He can sense that facing the Sith Queen would be her great trial. And when that happens, if she survives it, he is fully willing to bring her to the ship, try to heal her, or to remove the chip in the programming, and accept her as part of the party. I mean, he is no stranger to having clones around and serving alongside them. But that's just Durro. It's still going to be up to the rest of the party whether or not they like and or accept her. But that's Durro's stance on it.
Well, from Astra's vision, they aren't even going to get that chance.
Were you not listening to anything Clone Astra said?
Oh, I was. I'm just saying that. Yeah, that does make things awkward for when Raza is returned. But
So Raza has
anyways,
2 mommies. It is the 21st century. It is current year. Unless you're some kind of bigot.
anyways, we also don't know how far in the future that instance with the Sith Queen is. That
Based on
Astra saw.
circumstantial evidence, I would say pretty darn soon.
Maybe, but Astra has had visions that have been like crazy far in the future that we thought was going to be soon, and they weren't.
Like what?
Well, there was that one vision she and Durro shared. Granted, it was Durro's vision, so there's no guarantee that that's going to happen.
True. Also, considering how Clone Astra was explaining it, and with what Durro currently understands, that thread may be impossible now. It may have been possible when they had the vision, but decisions may have been made and paths taken that means it is impossible now.
Yeah.
So my question is to Durro, because Hodge and Tatara can't comment. Looking at Clone Astra and what she explained to him, you feel a sense of pride in what she's accomplished on her, as his Padawan? Does he feel a sensation of sadness over the struggle that she had to endure alone? Because beyond the immediate future, what were his perceptions learning about who she
That she is a remarkable young woman who has been through a lot of struggle and has come through it a stronger and improved person. And while he may have had the idea of turning her programming loose against the Sith, at the end of the day, he still sees her as a person, a lot like the clones he served with. She may be a clone, she may be Astra, but she is a unique and distinct Astra from the one he travels with, and he believes that is something precious that should be preserved. So, yes, he may want to turn her programming against the Sith Queen, but he does so with the same sense of weight and responsibility that he would if he were sending our Astra against the Sith Queen. Sometimes these things have to be done, and he as a former commander understands this, but it doesn't mean he likes having to make these decisions, and he does see her as a unique person worthy of deserving of continued existence, of
Go ahead.
further development.
I have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, and it will never not be disconcerting to hear Tassara's voice out of Hodge's profile.
Okay, so there is some like basic knowledge that I need to clarify for myself that I think I've misunderstood. I thought that the Crusade was only anti-Jedi and not anti-Force user. But am I right or am I wrong?
They certainly come across as anti-Jedi, but the Sith have been, if not extinct, at the very least invisible for a millennium at this point. So there have been no Sith to fight. Durro is hoping that and especially because Astra tried to kill Hodge, or no,
Hodge and Astra tried to kill each other.
Basically, there was a thought I had that the Crusade had targeted Hodge, even though she's not a Jedi. So and I think someone had warned him that one of these things would likely kill Tassara if it knew she was Force sensitive. That was back on Baklet. I think the speaker or somebody told him that Tassara was in danger from the Shadow Stalkers. So he's hoping that it's a hatred of all Force wielders and not specifically Jedi.
Okay, Michael, can you speak to that?
I can only speak to what the party knows. And based off of everything Durro said, that is what the party knows. There is no solid conclusion that their hatred goes beyond the Jedi, but there is enough residual evidence to support a theory that they might go beyond the Jedi.
Okay, thank you.
So what does Hodge and Tassara think of Clone Astra?
Well, I still have no idea what they experienced while Durro was in the cavern, so I'm still completely lost on that front. I don't even know if they know about Clone Astra.
They don't.
So
Well,
therefore,
they
we can have
will.
Therefore, we can have no opinion on Clone Astra.
Yeah, but the players can.
Player is reserving judgment until the character knows more. Otherwise, it's metagaming.
Uh-huh.
Oh, she told you.
Well, I mean, if we're allowed in betweens, Astra could easily go and tell Hodge and Tassara what she saw.
And you absolutely are allowed in betweens. And in fact, if you guys want, you can quickly tell Durro what happened during y'all's scene.
Yeah, it's got to be quick if you're going to, because then I got to get to bed.
I thought that was supposed to stay completely silent until such time as the Traveler posted the updated until Traveler posted the audio of those games.
It's already
specifically
up.
for this reason.
It's already up.
And Tassara is telling me that she hasn't received her vision yet, so again, with the no comment.
Well, no, her vision has nothing to do with you guys telling Durro.
Hodge had her ass kicked. The end.
Yeah, Hodge got her butt kicked by the Sith and got a message from the Sith about wanting Durro, or the Queen wanting to see Durro, and a message from Quinn about the what was it? The honeymoon suite still being available.
Okay, I'm putting the kibosh on the assumption of that it was Durro. The message was for Hodge's master. It was not for Durro specifically, unless it is interpreted that way. Because given the fact that she was standing behind Astra and there were two other men sitting at that table, it could be any one of the three of them.
Okay, hang on a second. It sounded like Roger, HAL 9000, and some other robot entity were all duking it out a second ago, so I missed the first half of your retelling.
I said, so Astra said that it was a message to Durro from the Sith Queen, and I said, not so fast. The message was for Hadassah's master. The master has a message for Hadassah's master, and since she was standing behind Astra, and Quinn assumed all along that Astra was Hadassah's master, and that there were two other men at that table, either one of which could be described in that way, with no actual name given, then we have to be very careful about the assumption that the message was specifically designed, this message the Sith Queen sent was specifically for Durro.
I think as players that can be assumed, but I take your point. Where did this happen?
In the alley while Hodge was being violated by the officer sitting at Quinn's that was sitting at Quinn's table during the meal that they shared with the professor and Durro and Astra.
Okay, see, I don't even know how we got to that point. So
Tessara, Durro knows that Tessara went out into the village to get more information about what the Sith were doing in port in Wargulnus, and that Hodge went his backup. Correct?
Yeah. Yes, and the last thing I, the player, knew was that Hodge was captured. The only physical thing I knew happened to her was her face was smashed into the wall.
Yes, wherein she received 4 wound points.
Yes, that was the last thing I, the player, knew about.
She was shackled and removed from the vicinity. Tessara and her insectoid friend followed. The Sith that captured her were intercepted by one of Voss's officers, a woman, a Sith Lord woman who was also at the table during dinner that was shared, and she with Professor and Astra, and she recognized Hodge as
the dinner aboard Quinn's ship when we rescued the girls.
Correct.
I thought there was another dinner, and I was like, wait, when did that happen?
No. I'm sorry, my apologies. This was the dinner where we rescued the girls. One of the other Sith that had accompanied us at dinner, one of his officers, intercepted Hodge as she was being transported by the Sith minion, and what did Michael phrase it? Molested her. It did all kinds of awful things. Huh?
I said HAL 9000 is back.
Oh shit. So okay, so the woman intercepted the Sith that had captured Hodge and recognized her. And it was ugly. We'll just leave it at that.
But remember what was canon and what was
I'm aware.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy. I was leaving it at the short form. And gave her 2 messages. The first was, and let me go and make sure that I have it correct. One moment, please. Oh, give me a second. Where is it? His audience is tell your master his audience is waiting for him. And tell Astra that the honeymoon suite is ready for her return. So this Sith woman, this Sith Lord, this officer of Voss's, whispered those 2 messages in her ear when she was finished with her business.
Well, I can count on one hand the number of males on the Gungnir, so that narrows down who the master is. But yeah, continue.
Agreed, but I make no assumptions, especially since the use of the language did not infer one or the other.
Now this is current year. Maybe Tessara identifies as a male.
Anything is possible. But since Tesaro wasn't at that dinner, it was merely Durro, the professor, and Astra had a message specifically for her. One assumes that it was either the professor or Durro, but one makes no assumptions.
So then Astra or Tessara, an insect friend, free Hadaza. They run back to the ship in panic. Just Hadaza and Tessara, and they arrive at the ship, and that's when everything starts to go sideways.
Ashanti insisted on leaving port, insisted and fought very, very hard with everyone. Well, no, fought with Astra and Tessara to leave port, to leave Durro behind, to get out of the trap, and to go as far and as fast as they could possibly get.
No, that's not
Durro
true.
was dead.
There you
Durro
go.
was dead.
The general consensus was we can't reach Durro no matter what, and the assumption made by Ashante was, then he must be dead. We must face this fact.
We must face this fact. Durro is dead. Leave now, because that's what he would want. Tessara and Astra decided they had conversations. It went on for some time. I won't say who or what, but ultimately it was decided to stay behind and to attempt to foresee whether or not where Durro was and whether or not he was alive. But they got Cheery involved to become a pilot. Hodge sat as co-pilot of the Gungnir. They were ready to take off when it was decided that Astra and Tessara would farsee to determine if Durro was alive and where his last movements were. Tessara into the past and Astra into the future.
Okay. Because that was a sound tactical decision.
The Gungnir was ready to take off when that decision was made. Again, Cheery at the pilot seat, Hodge and co-pilot, and Tessara and Astra made the decision, and
can Cheery fly the Gungnir? In my understanding, it's a little different navigating the chaos and, actually flying, taking off in atmosphere. I know she can sort of fly Durro's shuttle, but the Gungnir is just a hair bigger than that shuttle.
Somebody seems to think so.
Ashante believes she could. She's been receiving piloting lessons from Durro.
Cheery had?
Focusing primarily on the shuttle. I have doubts about her ability to pilot the Gungnir, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, I mean,
Either way, the Gungnir powered down while Tessara and Astra did a farseeing in either direction, one in the future and one in the past, to try and find Durro. That said, Cheery and Hodge are both sitting on the flight deck, ready to take off at a moment's notice.
Because the Sith won't have a way to stop your ship from leaving, whether on the ground or in the air.
This is where we are.
It was literally 2.5 hours of arguing on what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Durro is going to have a field day with this.
Durro can have a field day all he likes.
Talk about a lack of military discipline.
Go fluff yourself, Master.
Oh, he'll have the lot of you scrubbing every surface of the Gungnir with a toothbrush.
All I gotta
Today.
say is, Clone Astra would never have made that mistake.
That's low. That's a low blow.
Fuck you, Mike.
Love you, baby.
You're an ass.
In the not for nothing category, Hodge was not part of that discussion. She followed orders, and it was discussed. What was discussed was Ashanti screaming, "He's dead, get off the planet." And it was whether or not he is or is not, whether he would or would not come after them, and whether or not the Sith was going to invade now, or, oh, wait, by the way, they have started a blockade and will probably shoot us out of the fucking air if we try. So there were not a lot of options discussed with regard. I mean, there were a lot of options discussed, but the first and foremost was whether or not how much time we had before the Sith was going to invade and what they were going to do, and wow, we really didn't have a whole lot of options. So no, not a whole lot of military tactics, but at the same time, it was what are our options, and that was a lot of that.
No
Yeah.
military discipline, and everybody's hearts on their sleeves. I see how it is.
I thought Ashante played pretty clear to her personality. Actually, everybody played pretty clear to their personality.
All of Durro's teachings just out the airlock.
I disagree with that, and I continue to disagree with that. Hodge had the ship powered up and ready to go.
What would have Durro's decision been in that scenario?
I think you asked that last week.
Yeah, but the whole group wasn't there.
Right. Well, last week it was framed as what would Durro have wanted, because obviously he cannot make the decision if he is the one missing. But and I suppose this will be said in character when Durro is caught up on things, that if the situation ever comes up again, leave, get out of danger. The girl's safety is your top priority, especially if the odds are really good that Durro is dead. There's no point sacrificing everyone, even the girls, on the off chance that someone who's likely dead comes back. Especially because Durro is a resourceful dude, and if they did leave, he could find another way off the world and catch up with them. Even though nobody seemed to think of, dumping his shuttle on the landing platform as they take off. They have two ships.
Tara's
But
probably banging her head right now.
But that's all right. Everybody has to learn somehow. Durro did not start out the Clone Wars being an amazing Jedi commander.
Hang on a second. Okay, so we asked Gungnir and Handyman what the percentage of success was if we were to take off, and it was 25% chance of success. So do with that what you will.
Never listen to a droid's odds.
Yeah, because droids only are computers and can calculate odds.
Droids are missing a huge chunk of the picture, though. Droids are machines and only understand a limited perspective of the physical world. Things like the Force, the will of, and the way a Jedi connects with it are beyond a droid's comprehension. Their calculations are based purely on the physical realm with no intervention from the Force. Droids' odds are well calculated, but they are well calculated based on only half of the information that you would need. Never listen to a droid's odds.
Well, I guess Durro's gonna have to teach them that.
Yeah, no kidding. A droid tells you the odds, you shut him down or you shut him up.
I won't lie. I do think it's kind of humorous that CA was telling Durro about all the different threads, and one of the threads that she says is, "Well, I saw that you were abandoned here on this world."
Yes, I as the player noticed that.
Which should give context to when Durro starts talking to Astra about her visions and what they really mean and how they are all 100% accurate.
Until decisions are made and some of them become impossible.
True, but at the time of viewing, they are.
Yes, that makes sense.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
Because Clone Astra was able to go into and do vision, walk through and see the threads multiple times. Is the character Astra able to do that, or is she restricted to once a week?
CA is not CA is not far seeing when she's doing that.
What is she doing then?
She's using her seer ability.
So if Astra wanted to use her seer ability to do that, she would have to learn how to do it first.
That, and she would also have to get over her fear and conquer her own self. You know, all the pieces that act as blockage.
Isn't that what she's been doing?
Slowly. But CA's come a long way because she didn't have a choice. She had to overcome these things or she was going to perish.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well now I understand how that works.
I'm curious if, because something's not sitting right with me with Durro's plan. Durro believes in a person having free will. He's stated this many times.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, Durro believes in free will, but he's looking at CA and he's come up with a plan to use CA as a weapon. Whether, regardless of what happens after the fact, is irrelevant. He has a plan to usurp her free will and use her no different than a blaster or a lightsaber against the Sith Queen. And if she survives, after robbing her of said free will, then he'll try to cure her of that same programming. Is it no different than using Order 66 to have a clone turn and murder their best friend? Is that any less evil? Throwing that out there as a thought.
I think you missed the part where I said that Durro had the idea, that was a plan, and that it was a hope that it might work. I never made any commitments. I didn't say he's bullheadedly going ahead with that plan, hell or high water. The promise he made to Astra to follow the guidance and will of the Force is his primary plan going forward. But the desire to use the programming against the Sith was the primary plan until he learned more information. And when they face the Sith Queen, it will be in that moment, following the guidance of the Force, that he decides whether or not he should activate the programming or not. Because I, as the player, and Durro as the character, have no idea what is going to transpire in this showdown. And he meant what he said about it being her great trial, and the possibility there being that she proves her training is complete.
True.
It was all theoretical. I was letting you know what Durro's thought process was, but he as the character and I as the player have not committed to any one path. I was just laying out all the cards that he has in his hand and how he might possibly play them.
And I appreciate that. I'm just curious. Durro is a person that believes in a person's self-will, their free will, their agency. This is very true to Durro's heart. This has been part of who he is. But he's going to turn on this person and flip a switch and rob them of that with actions that very well could lead to that person's death. That's what I'm asking. I understand that this isn't a plan that he's committed to. I'm asking the player to, acknowledge that plan, no matter how distasteful, goes against everything that Durro believes in. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying I'll prevent you from doing it, and I'm not even gonna make you make any rolls. I'm just asking you as a player to acknowledge that plan goes against everything Durro stands for, and it's borderline evil. I'm not saying that it'll get you a dark side. I'm just saying that, personal perspective, that seems evil.
Then I, as the player, and Durro as the character, have some misconceptions about how this programming works. I didn't realize it was as complete as the clones programming. And in fairness, Durro as the character probably does not understand the clones programming as well as I, the player, do, since I, the player, have consumed Star Wars fiction in which the viewer is nearly omnipotent, at least as far as characters in the story are concerned. We as the viewers know things that that none of the characters have access to.
So let's go based off of what we assume the character knows. That there is programming that activates, that triggers a compelled response. And that compelled response will drive the person into conflict. And the player was told, or the character was told, that the person affected would have no control, would not be able to stop themselves, wouldn't even have any consciousness of what's going on, because it was asked and answered. Well, we can always talk them out of it. No, it won't be Astra anymore. It'll be a monster. That's the answer that was given to two characters when asked about this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Durro was not there for that conversation.
But he was given a briefing of it.
I, the player, was not there for that conversation, and if that was said, it was not something that stuck.
Fair enough.
So, no, I, even as the player, was unaware that it was that thorough, that they are a wholly different person and cannot be talked out of it. The fact that when Hodges began to come into effect and Astra was able to shake her out of it, pointing out her air quotes mistake, I thought that the programming was simply a package put together by the Crusade to make someone a Jedi killing weapon, that it provided enhanced abilities or gave them knowledge that they otherwise might not have about how to use the abilities they possess. I didn't realize it completely took them over and basically used them as a fleshy robot. That's a misconception that the character is operating under.
Okay.
If he understood how it truly works, then it's not a plan he would entertain.
Fair enough.
However, now that you have made it clear to me, the player, I am thinking that it is a very dangerous misconception for him to be under.
Again, if you act on this plan, I will A, not give you a dark side point, B, not do anything to prevent you from doing it, but I will C, if he does act on this, you can expect me to, you know, require some serious deep character reflection on it, because it would strike only against everything Durro believes in. Because, and I'm gonna have to correct you on something, because Durro, the um the character, knows what the programming for the clones did, because he witnessed it firsthand during his dark side adventure. He saw the clones as robots turning on his master.
Right. We kind of glossed over that part. I think it was like 3 or 4 sentences, and he was off world. But no, you're right. When on the dark side adventure, because he didn't live through it, in his actual life.
Right.
When it happened the first time, he was away from clones when they turned. But yeah, you're right. On the dark planet, he in his vision, he saw it firsthand. Had to sneak around them and get away from them.
So I'll allow you to handle this however you want, because it would be interesting to watch Durro deal with the grief of knowing that he betrayed everything that he holds dear, and sent this
What,
person to death. And
you don't think he's been through that enough already?
well, I mean, if you act on it and your plan is successful, you can't deny that would have a huge effect on him, because he would see that this life form that he just met, who reveres him, he robbed her of her ability to make a choice, and sent her to die.
Again, the character is under a serious misunderstanding about how this programming works. If he goes through with it and sees the result, sure, he will have a crisis of character. He will be grief stricken over it. But at the same time, he will also understand, not that it will matter much, that he didn't know when he put the plan into motion exactly what he was getting into. He thought he knew, but he didn't.
Yeah. And it'll be an interesting character growth for you. Now, you have time. You're going to do an in-between where you're going to talk to Tassara. We'll assume that's over text messaging, so you won't have to worry about, cluing in the Clone Astra of what you're talking about with her. Okay? Um aside from that, you can go off of any self or personal reflections you want, that you can link to the character knowledge as you form your plan.
Out of character because of how glossed over it was. I often forget what he experienced on the Dark Planet
That's
because it
fine.
was just fed through. So, in order to give Durro the best chance possible at not screwing himself mentally and psychologically, I'm just going to say that in the time it takes to go meet the Sith Queen, because it's not like they're jumping straight from the cave to her ship. In the time it takes them to get there, he is going to be thinking on it, meditating on it, put pieces together, and realize, oh, wait, this is not that different from the clones programming, and I do know how that worked out. Maybe this plan is not something I should be entertaining.
Well, remember what CA said. Once you start weaving down a thread, it's hard to transfer off of that thread. So he's got time. He still has almost 20 minutes of traveling back through the sewers to get back to the hangar.
Right.
So you're safe there. You have time to come up with these conclusions. Plus, you're going to have an in-between with Tessara. And Tessara can remind you, hint, 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 what Phelan told them about Astra's programming.
Which I feel like he would ask them because, I mean, I told you out of character, I didn't feel like the information was complete. I'm sure in character, Durro would feel like, hey, this is all secondhand information. And since he was planning, even at first, to activate it against the Sith, I feel like he would want to know, hey, if I do this, is she going to turn on me and me only, or will she fight the Sith?
Yeah, I mean, so, and actually, I'm kind of starting to regret bringing this topic up. I should have let you just do it.
Yes, you are an agent of chaos.
Damn it, man. Anyway, think about it. In-betweens are open between now and next game. I highly encourage you guys to talk to each other. Because there's some really important information that can be uncovered. And Lily, I'm looking forward to you taking us out for lunch on Saturday for pizza.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it too, man.
Yeah. It's only gonna be me, Nova, and David because Jess will be at work. You guys are more than welcome to hang out for the game over here. We can find a way to make it work.
If we can find a way to make it work so that Astra and Durro can join us, I am all over that. I am looking forward to it in like gigantic ways.
Agreed.
I don't know when Amy is going to be available. We land in Sanford tomorrow between 9 and 10 a.m. It's going to take us a couple of hours to get home, so assume that any in-betweens would happen probably afternoon on Friday into Saturday. Based on when we land and when lunch happens, so please be gentle with our thumbs.
I mean, next session is Saturday. I work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for what it's worth. So I'm wondering how much in betweening is actually going to be done.
Actually, I had an idea I wanted to throw at you, Durro, specifically because of your work schedule. What I'm thinking about doing is having you write out everything you want to talk about, okay, in like little block paragraphs, as if you're talking to yourself, and then have you PM that information to Sarah. Then she can go ahead and piece through the whole thing about where her pieces are, PM it back, and then if you can't make it or you can't continue for whatever reason, at least she has a basis to throw something up, and now we have something that's canon.
Right, I got you.
You see what I'm saying? That way there during your break, you can like quickly type up, 4 or 5 paragraphs, send it to Tessara. She can fill in and then respond to you via PM. And then if you can't get it by a certain point of time and you guys decide that, and then she'll be like, okay, and throw it up, or she can throw it up and then have you send her 4 or 5 paragraphs again, and she can do the same thing and then throw it up.
Right.
So that's a possibility that will help you work within your schedule.
All right. Well, we'll see what I can do.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording.